Hi everyone, I'm JD, welcome back to my channel. So I'm back here with a process video showing how I am getting the pages ready for my journal, for the scrap journal challenge. So as with the guidelines, it's to use all blank pages, plain pages, and all of one type. So I've chosen to use these coffee dyed pages, and there is my cover. In one of the previous videos I showed the process of how I made the cover, so if I remember I'll link that below. But I've got all of my coffee dyed pages, and I kind of will take you through how I can cut them all into different sizes and make them into pockets and create flips and flaps, just to create a little bit of interest just using the pages themselves. So because they're all the same pages, they're all blank, one way you can kind of make it a little bit more interesting just with the pages alone is to fold them in a certain way. And yeah, so first of all, I'm also showing with my coffee dyed pages, I've got a range of strengths of coffee that I use to dye them. So the first one was very grungy, this one is a lighter coffee dye. And that was another way that I could add just a bit of interest to my journals. And I know the aim was to have the pages as plain as possible, but I thought for the sake of this video, I would show kind of how you can make the pages interesting with one type of page. So that one I made a pocket, and here I just fold out the bottom like this, and then fold it over and you create a pocket. So the other page, the previous one, I folded it the other way, so kind of inside out, so the pocket is on the front when you turn to the page, whereas this one, the pocket is on the other side. When you open the page, you can see the pocket. And then I think I go on to make like narrower pages. So the basic page is like the first two I showed you, where you fold it right up to the edge of the journal and it's nice and narrow. And then the next two were the pocket pages. And now, nope, this isn't one of the narrow pages, this is one of the short pages. So I'm just cutting it down a bit shorter so it gives it a bit of interest. And then this one I think is the one that I do the narrow page. And I like doing this especially with the pages that might have some creases or rips in that part that I cut off, so that I can make use of that page, and the scraps I can use in a different way. But for the page, if I don't want to have a rip in it or a big crease or something, I might just want to use some of it. And yeah, just kind of showing you what I've got so far. And then basically those are the base pages, and then it's just a matter of what I do is kind of work with what that kind of system. And I might do narrow pages and just play around with how wide and how narrow I do it. And the other ones I'll play around with how tall or short I make the page. Oh, and this is a flip page or flap page. So just do it like normal. You have a page and then you fold over the excess on one of the sides. So it has this nice little flip, and you can turn that into a pocket, or you can embellish it, or you just leave it as a bit of extra journaling space and interactivity. This one I'm doing another flap page or flip page, but this time I'm making a narrower page, which then gives you a longer flap. So again, just a different look. So I'll open up and show you. There it is, that big flap. And when I do go to put in my journal, I like alternating which side has the flap. So some of the flaps will appear on the left side, some of the flaps will appear on the right side. Again, just giving all that added interest and variety with the diversity of pages. And so I think now that's all the base pages, and I mostly want to create full-size pages, and then I go in after and just create sort of, I call it feature pages. I always have a system with my journals where I have a set of feature pages, a set of blank pages, and a set of interesting pages. So because I'm using all the one type of page here, I can still have a set of each things. So my blank pages are what I'm called, even though they're all blank, just work with me here. My blank pages are the full-size ones, like this. And then my feature pages are the ones where I will do something like a flap, or make it a different size. So actually, yeah, my feature pages will be the ones that are either narrow or the ones that are shorter. And then my interesting pages are the ones that either have a flap or a pocket. And that's how I kind of work out my journals, each set of pages. Now, I could have done the exact same pages all throughout this journal, just all full-size blank pages. But yeah, I just wanted to create a little bit more interest to have a starting point and to show you for the sake of this video, like I said. So this one I'm showing here the difference in sizes, so some are shorter than others, and then I kind of just make it like a gradation, so tall to short. And then when I come to put the pages together, I can intersperse those throughout the journal. And then I put 25 pages in these paper bag journals usually, especially if I'm just using blank pages. They're all the same thickness, so I know that 25 pages will work fine. And I like the number 25 because when you fold them over, obviously then you get 50 pages, and then you get 100 pages front and back. So it's just a really nice round number, and when you say 100 front and back, it makes me think, oh, I've got lots of writing space to work with. And the other thing I suppose to mention in this particular video with the coffee dyed papers is, even though, yeah, they're all blank and it's all one type of paper, another way you can grab your interest with the pages is to not only work with different strengths of the coffee dye, but to work with kind of stenciling. So I laid some doilies in between the layers of coffee dyed paper so that it would kind of make a stencil of the doily. So some of them have the doily outline, whereas others I put some envelopes between the papers. So I coffee dye envelopes at the same time I do papers. I just layer a bunch of envelopes between the papers, and what that does when it's all dried, you get these nice kind of patterns from where the envelope was laying on top of the paper. And so you'll see some are more blotchy, some have more kind of straight lines, patterns on it, some are more like droplet style. And you can just get some really cool designs just depending on what you layer between your papers. So a little idea for you. Even if you just lay short pieces of paper, like note papers, in between your bigger papers, that will even create your lines on the page, because it will show the outline of where the note paper was on the page between the layers. And yeah, it just gives the page a bit more interest. So I've got quite a lot of these full-size pages that I can nicely trim down. You may have noticed there were other pages that I pulled out that were kind of smaller, and those were pages that like the top of it was either ripped or the top of it had, I don't know, a marking that I didn't really like or something. And so I pre-cut those down because I knew I could still use them. So I could still use the leftover page to create a smaller page. And you may have noticed some of the smaller pages I even created little flaps in those, and all of those flaps I can decide later if I want to glue them down and turn them into a pocket or sew them into a pocket, or if I just want to leave them as a flap. And so because there's quite a few flaps in this particular journal, I might keep some as pockets and keep some as flaps so that there is that variety of both of them in the journal. And as you can see, when I bring on those papers, the pages, you can see that there's the different strengths of coffee and the different designs. Like right here, these two pages, you can see quite a lot of interesting patterns in them, and that's just by layering envelopes between the layers of paper. Anyway, it's all pretty self-explanatory. I'm pretty sure I'm just like repeating myself now, but I hope this video gave you some ideas and inspiration of ways you can use just coffee dye paper to make an interesting journal. You don't need anything fancy, you don't need scrapbook paper, you don't need coloured paper or book pages. You can just use coffee dyed paper, and the way you coffee dye it, the strength of coffee you use, the way you fold it, that will all create the interest already for you. So in the next video, I show how I arrange the pages. So this one I'm just preparing them, cutting them down to size. In the next video, I'll show how I arrange them to give that interest in the variety, so that every time you turn a page you're seeing something different. So I'm not sure if anyone will be interested in that, but I get quite a few questions about how I choose pages and how I arrange them, so hopefully it's helpful. And then after that video, I will then finally start the process of making embellishments. I think I'll just put on the camera, pull out my craft boxes, my scrap boxes, sorry, and just, there's not going to be really much of a plan. I'm just going to see what happens and take you on the journey with me. I'm loving seeing all of your journals that you guys are making who are joining me in this challenge. They're putting up their photos on the Willowbound Journals Facebook page, and so it's really lovely seeing all your different journals and all the different styles, and I hope everyone's having fun. It's really cool how quickly people are making their journal too. I was really amazed by how quick they had done the journal. Like, wow, that's so impressive. So before you know it, they'll have embellished it. Even though there is a month to be able to finish this, I've set a month for a time limit. And yeah, I hope it's fun for everyone. I might do a few more challenges because it's been really fun, and I guess with the social isolation and people stuck at home and people not being able to buy supplies, I might do some more challenges just using what we have in our stash. Maybe a stash pasta journal for the next challenge. I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. But I really want to do a stash pasta journal anyway. It's on my list. So there are my 25 pages. Bye guys.